Good afternoon.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
Good evening. When you are not calm, that is how you start misstepping. Okay, so I hope we all find time to listen to the video yesterday. Okay, so time is spent. I'll hand over the mic to Uncle to start today's class. But end of class, I really want to know if we actually watched the video yesterday. Okay, Samuel, Isan, Mariam, Muhammad. So we're going to have this task at the end of the class today. Okay, so Uncle, over to you, sir.
All right, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you very much. We are going to have a fantastic ending to an amazing week tonight. But before I start telling you what we will be doing, I need you tell me what we did yesterday and how do you feel about yourself first. We'll do that for like 5-7 minutes. I'll go around everyone. So don't think like some people will speak and some will keep quiet. You will all speak. And I'll pick names as they appear on my screen. I won't tell you the sequence. So when you hear your name, you unmute yourself and then tell me how you feel as a person and how do you feel the program is going. Okay. Then we'll do a recap of what we've done. You tell me what you think we did so far, and then we will start layering something else on top of it. So I start with Samuel. That's what I can see on the screen here.
So sorry, I didn't get the question.
Tell me how you feel about yourself. What do you think we've done so far? And are you gaining anything? Just 3 basic questions. Okay, I hope you've got the questions now. Tell me how you feel about yourself.
Yes, sir.
What have we done so far? Your understanding of what we've covered this week, and where do you think this is going? You can just say anything general. 1 minute for every participant.
So we learned how to create 5 years. We learned how to calculate the speed of the game. We learned how to put the icon. Then we learned how to put the wallpaper and the sound with the shape, and then also how to move shapes around the screen.
Okay.
And I feel very proud of myself.
Oh, amazing. That is fantastic. I clap for you. Any other person? Oh, I'm the one to give you names. Okay, so after Samuel, I can see Ihsan and Ilham or Nawale. Any of you?
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I'm very happy with the coding you are teaching us. At least it's better than what they teach us in school.
Oh, that is fine. Your teachers are also doing an amazing work. Maybe the style is just a little bit different.
Yes, and it's confusing in school.
Hey, yeah, I'm so sorry about that. But it's clearer now, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So how do you feel about yourself?
I feel happy with this class.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Muhammad, you're next on my screen. And after that, Amira. She'll be ready. Muhammad, don't run away. We are waiting for you. If he's not speaking, Amira can grab the mic.
Sir.
Yes, you're back. So we want to hear from you. You need to unmute yourself and speak. At least you heard two people before you. So let's hear your own.
We learn about X and Y.
We learned about X and Y axis. Okay. So what did we say about X and Y axis?
Length.
Okay. What did we say about length?
Calculating X and Y axis.
Okay. So what else did you learn?
That's all for now.
Okay, we learned about the four corners. All right. Thank you very much. So how do you feel about yourself, Muhammad?
I'm feeling well.
Alhamdulillah. The weekend is just around the corner, so you are excited about the weekend. Fine. Amira, you are next.
We learned how to put background songs.
Wow, I knew you would tell me about this. Good. What else did you learn?
We learned how to use shapes.
Okay, that's good. And how do you feel about yourself?
Happy. Alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah. Thank you very much. Waris, you are next. Then after Waris, we'll take Ridwan and then Alan next. Then we'll start today's class. So Waris, what have you learned so far and how do you feel? Are you there, Waris?
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
All right, good evening. How do you do?
Yes, sir.
So tell us one thing you can remember that you've learned this week and how do you feel about yourself?
I learned about how to create the background image of a game.
Okay. And how do you feel
And
about
I feel very, very good. But anytime I try it, I'm going to try and make sure I get it.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you very much. Yeah. Then Ridwan, next. What have you learned so far? How do you feel about yourself?
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. What have you learned? How do you feel about yourself?
Actually, my name is Alabia John with us. Okay, sir. How to
Ala-
calculate
Ala-
Pythagoras theorem
Okay.
games. We are on it right now. How to add two numbers, how to subtract, how to multiply, how to divide, and many other things.
Alhamdulillah. How do you feel about yourself?
I feel very proud of myself. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Wa jazakumullah khairan.
Ameen wa yak. Thanks a lot. Alan, you are next. We know you just joined us recently, but what has the vibe been like for you? Does it look like something you want to learn and master?
Yes, I would love to continue learning Pygame and coding generally.
All right. So how do you feel about yourself?
I feel okay. I'm picking up on the basics of Python.
Okay.
So in
Yeah,
some
that-
months time I'll get there.
okay. That's excellent. Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, everyone, for your contributions. I'm delighted to get all this feedback, and I'm also happy to be your fortunate instructor in this training. And I hope we will be able to cover a lot of ground as time goes by. So let's trace our steps a little bit. Where are we? We have learned how to set up game screen. We've learned how to put caption on the game screen. We have learned how to set background color, how to put icon on our game screen if we don't like the default icon that came with it. We've also learned to put wallpaper, like someone said, if you want to change the background and put your own picture there. We've learned how to build sound effects into our game. We've learned how to close the game. We've learned how to add shapes of different kinds, some basic ones, and how you can maneuver them. And tonight, by God's special grace, you will learn how to move those shapes around the screen. So we've done quite a lot within a short period. So let's see what else can we learn tonight. Moving shapes and objects around. What exactly does it entail? I'll tell you there are two things you need to learn, even though people would say you need to learn three. I'll agree with them, whether it's two or three. My duty is to identify those 2, 3 objects or concepts for you. One, let me get my marker. One, you need to know about dimensions, as we've done repeatedly. And these dimensions will be related to two things: the screen of your game, and then the objects that you are placing on the screen. But you can say, okay, why do I need to know a lot about the dimension of my object and the dimension of my screen? You will see why when we go into the next set of slides and start talking about movement. So dimensions, very important with respect to these two elements, the screen of the game and the object that you are moving around or that you plan to move around. And this is why I said some people will say 2 or 3 things. The next thing that you need to track will be the events that are happening. These events may be in 2 categories also. The first category will be the movement of the objects when they move around the screen. You must know how to move those objects around. And there are basically 4 directions in which you can move them. Even though some people will say, no, you can move them beyond 4 directions. If your object is here, typically you can move it up, you can move it down, you can move it right, and you can move it left. In the most basic form, these are the 4 directions in which you should be thinking about. When you become more comfortable with these movements, these 4 types of movement, then you can start introducing this kind of movement, which will be awesome, or this kind of movement, which will also be very remarkable if you know your angles very well. But in the most basic form, we will focus on vertical movement up and down and horizontal movement right and left. So movement is very important. But how will your objects move around the screen if you do not know things we call key activities? This keys here refer to the buttons on your keyboard that you are pressing. Which key moves the object up? Which one moves it down? Which one moves it right? Which one moves it left? You must know how to track when users press some keys. Sometimes you may be designing games that you want your object to jump, not to move right, left, or, top right, top or bottom, right or left. You just want the object that you have on the screen to jump up and come back to that same side, or it jumps up and it comes to another side like this. You must know how to do that, and you must know which key you want to use to achieve that purpose. So it's your duty as games programmers to decide which keys you'll be using, even though there are some rules that we expect you to obey. For instance, when you are looking at your keyboard, on the lower right corner of your keyboard, there are 4 standard keys there that Pygame can recognize. It can recognize all the keys on the keyboard, I must say that. But when we program games, those 4 keys are standard. And I will go through them one by one when I'm discussing movement in those 4 directions. So you need to get this under your belt. You will be talking about dimensions, very important, and that is with respect to the screen and the object. Then we will talk about events, and that is with respect to moving objects and then knowing which key has been pressed. Once you understand these basic elements, it becomes easier for you to now say, okay, let's move to left movement. How do we do it? How do we blend all of these ingredients together to move an object to the left of the screen? Now, for the avoidance of doubt, I'm going to produce an empty screen and use it to discuss this concept. So let's say this is our screen. It's an horizontal screen. And you have placed your object here. So that's your object at the middle. It can be anything, it can be any shape, but let's say that's where you have placed your square, for instance. Left movement is talking about movement in this direction. So how do you move your object in that direction? You need to know that the key that you will use is the left arrow key. It is on your keyboard, and it is the key with the arrow pointing towards the left, like your less than sign. So on the keyboard, you see it like this. Just one line up. I'm just trying to emphasize it. So the key looks like this. So this is the key that you need to move the object to the left. That's one part of the puzzle solved. We need to know when users press that key, and when they press it, then we will tell our object to go towards the left, and the object will go towards the left if we have done it well. Now, when the object is moving as a result of you pressing the key, remember when you press the key, there are 2 things that can also happen. You can press the key down. That is when you press on the key and you hold it there. And when you release the key, we call that one key up. Okay, that's key up. So Python can track when your hand is still on the key, which is key down is true. and it can track when you have released the key, which is key up, meaning that you've released the key and then the key is free from anybody pressing on it. So what we want is a scenario where the object will move left when you press down any key, and that key happens to be this left key. Now, Python can recognize that key. It has a word that it uses for it. It is called key underscore left. That is the key name. So when we want to track that button, the pressing of that particular button, we will be looking for a key with this name. And once we find it, then we will be able to move that object. Now, one final element in our movement will be, if you press the left arrow key once, by what distance should your object move? So we'll be talking about the speed at which the object is going to move. And sometimes we say velocity because now it has element of direction to it. So velocity is more appropriate an expression for that. So we want to measure the velocity. How fast is it moving on that left direction? We will program this and you will see it, but get this theory in your mind. Understand your screen and then understand the key that you are pressing and the direction in which you are moving it. The only other thing you need to note also is the size of this object. This object has the X and Y part. You need to understand it very well. The X part will be the horizontal part here. That's the X component. And the Y component is going to be this side. Why do you need these two elements? It's very important because if I am moving to the left of the screen, as we are discussing, in a normal way, this object, when it gets here, let's say it is here now, I must be able to tell whether this object, its X, got to the boundary of the screen. If you don't know when the X gets to the boundary of the screen, that's not a problem. The object will go out of the screen and supposedly it will re-emerge from this side of the screen, if that's what you want. Now, when you get to up or right movement, down movement as well, you also need to know if you move it right and it goes this way, we will discuss that when we get to right. You must know when the object gets to this boundary so that you may push it back. Otherwise, it goes out here and then it re-emerges on this side. This screen is loaded. I wanted to bring many things into it. And when I get to the other movements, you will also see things that are unique to them. But the general principle has been set in here. This is our left movement. You will see it being demonstrated tonight. The reverse side of that is the right movement. Let's say this is our layout and this is our object. I told you our object has a Y component and it has the X component. When you want to move it this way, you can also track the key down. That is when that right arrow key is pressed, and you can also know when it has been released, and that's the key up event. The name of that key is called K underscore right, and it is the key that has this symbol. It's very important. Now, everything we explained on the left movement is also applicable with right movement. If you move the object, you also need to know the velocity of moving it at any time when people press down that key, this key here. You need to know by what distance, how many pixels are you moving on the screen. And then you also need to know when you have hit the boundary, which is this side when you are moving on the right. Otherwise, it will just go out and then it will reemerge on this side. So you must know this maths very well. Now, if I move on to the next movement type that we said we need to cover, that should be the up movement. I'll bring up our screen again. I'll place our object here. Our object has Y as usual, and then it has X components as usual. We want to move it in this direction. That's the up movement. When you are moving it, it will be because you are dealing with key up. And that is when you press down the key down event. When you say key up, the object should stop moving because you are not pressing that button again. And the button is the one that has this one. So this one is the up arrow key, and it has this name to Python. That's the way Python recognizes that you have pressed that key. So you must understand which button does that for you. And of course, we want to know how many pixels will be covered when you move, when you press the key once and that object goes up once. And if you press it down, it will move towards the top. If you do also not track when it hits this boundary, your object will go out of view, and then it will most likely re-emerge from the lower part here. We will lay this foundation, and little by little, we will build on top of it. Now, the next movement is the down movement. We will not move down. Our object is the one that is moving down on the screen. So if we have this object again, this is the down movement. And the key you need on the screen has this outlook. This is the symbol. It's on the lower right corner of your screen, and this is called K_down. It is written in uppercase for all of them. So you must understand your X, this is your Y dimension. You need to understand your X dimension also for some types of movement. But when you are going down or up, it is more of your Y that you need. When you are going laterally, that's on the right and on the left, then you need to understand your X component of this object. Then you also need to know the speed at which you are moving. And of course, you must know when the key is pressed down, you move during that period. And when the key is released, you stop moving. You must know this. And if you don't track when you hit the edge, your object goes out through this line and it comes back through this line. I need you to think through these basic ideas. And then when I start writing code to implement the ideas, it will look pretty straightforward to you. So it's time for demo. And I think I can move off this screen. Keep this. I'm not seeing you tomorrow yet, so we're still on demo. So I can switch to this screen. I'll go back to our code. Please confirm to me that you can see my code screen. I will try to increase a little bit.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, we can see.
All right.
Yes, I can see.
All right. Thanks a lot. Now, Forget about all this. I was fooling around with some things yesterday. All right, so let's name this. I want to rename my file. I'll say save as left. I won't say left movement. I'll just say movement generally. Movements. Whatever is not needed, I will remove from the screen. Don't worry. Like this part, you don't need it. So 4 by 600. No, I need something more. So I need my 1200 back. What else? I don't need the funny color for this demonstration. In fact, I can make this 800 for now. I don't even need to fill the screen because I need my background to be imposed on the screen. We won't play the sound, so those who want to dance, you can play that one later. Okay, I have added something. Immediately before I start defining my element, I put a clock here. This is the way to put the clock object. I'll tell us more later what we will use this for. And then everything we wrote up to yesterday is here. I'll copy this into a notepad and drop it in the chat box for those who want to play around with the code later. And every other, oh, Amira, thanks. I will take this off for now.
Please, I have a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Last night when I was typing or coding the game, I was having some issues. When I want to copy something, I don't know how to do it. Yes.
When you say copy, as in copy code and paste it so that you can modify it later.
Yes. For instance, this add fancy square now.
Yes.
If you want to do it to another line.
Okay, so if I want to do add fancy square, this one.
Yes.
Okay, so if it was here, for instance, I can copy it. I'll select it like this.
Okay.
And then do Control+C at the same time. Control+C.
Okay.
I press Control+C, it copies. I don't notice anything. Let me select everything. Control+C will copy it. I can go to where I need it and say Control+V. That will paste it.
Okay. Did you say Control+V? Yes.
Control+V to paste.
Okay.
Control+C to copy.
Oh, this thing is down. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. All right, so let's move on. All right, so these are the modifications that I've made. So let's check this program and see what it looks like. Movement, run it. And this is what we have. Okay, this looks cool for now. So we want to build on top of this. I will say the first thing I want to do is to add a square. And I don't want an empty square. I want this, my add field square. We already wrote the code, so we just need to bring it up. So I'll go to where I wrote add field square. It should be up, up, up. This is it up here. Yeah, this is it here. Now, if I just execute now, I'll see my object just anywhere it shows up on the screen. I don't want that to happen. I want to place it at the middle of the screen. So I need to play around with the dimensions for this. So let's run this, for instance. And you can see my object is just somewhere at the top of the screen there. And that's not what I had in mind. So how do we go about bringing it to the middle? Can someone remind me, please? This is my screen dimension. 1200 by 800. So I'm sure someone will say 600 by 400. Okay. So if that's what you mean, I'll 600 here, and then I'll put 400. Yeah, if I run this again, my square comes to that center, and it looks small, kind of. Maybe I should just increase it to 80 just for better display. Yes, this looks better. So this is my screen for now. But do you know that what I have done looks good, but I can make it better? I can make it better by saying, let us go and do something. Instead of just writing 600, 400, 80, 80 here, we can create variables for those 4 elements. And then we will use the variable names in here rather than using figures directly. Now, so that requires me to come back. Let me say somewhere around here. I'll put a segment and say object attributes. These are some properties of that object. So our object has, let's say, object height, right? Our object has a width. We don't know the values yet. Our object has an x coordinate at which it starts. Our object has a y coordinate where it starts. Okay. Now, these are the 4 elements that I need now. In fact, I need more than that. I need one more element. I'll say velocity. Let us set it to 3 for now. You can change the value later, but let's set it to 3. Now, one thing you need to do next after setting these parameters here is to say, these values in my object, I need to transfer them to these variables. Then I need to bring those variables down to this side so that the values will be implemented. So 600 is the one we start with. That is our X value. So we'll come up here and say the origin of our object is at X equal to 600. And that means that I can copy that variable name and replace 600 by object X, and the program will still work. Let's run it. You can see everything is still intact. It's as if I've not changed anything. Now, this 400 stands for what in our code? It is this element here, object Y. That's the Y coordinate or the Y component of the origin of the starting point of our shape. So that means I can copy object Y and replace 400 with it. Since the value is 400 here, it will always read 400 when they check the memory. And if you run this code, everything is still intact. Now we are left with 2 more values and variables, our object's height and width. Because it's a square, the values are the same. So it means I'll put 80 up here, 80 down here. But the first 80 is standing for the object width, width before height. Please always note that. Then I'll copy object height. I'll bring it here. I'll paste, and then we are fine with the update that we need to do for now. Yeah, our shape comes out where we want it to. And if you want to make it come out somewhere else rather than the center, just come up here and define your coordinates for lines 41 and 42, and your object will show up somewhere else. Okay. For instance, if I increase my Y to 900, then it means that shape will go further down. Yeah, it has gone further down. And in fact, people will not see it because my screen is not that tall. My screen is just 800. Okay, so it has disappeared. Let's set it to 700, for instance, and you see it towards the base. Okay, so that's the way you can play around with the positioning of your object, but we don't need that. So we are cool with the initial 300 that was there, I guess. Sorry, 400. We're cool with the 400 and our object goes back to the middle. So we've set up the object. We have set up the velocity. So what else do we need to do to move this object around? Remember, someone should tell me, what did we say we need to do to move the object to the left? If you want the object to go to the left, that was the first thing we did. What do
Stop! 1,200.
Yeah, if I want to move the object to the left, what do I need to press? Which key do I press?
To the left, sir. You hold the key down to the left.
The object will move. Okay, thank you. So let me now show you how the program will know that I am pressing the left arrow key. So you come to this part of your game's loop. Remember I said the game loop is where every exciting thing happens to your code. So I'll come into the game loop and say, the first time we checked if someone pressed the quit button, which is the red X symbol on the top right corner. This time around, we don't want to track that. We want to track something else. So I will write this here. Keys is equal to Pygame dot, I hope I, oh, no, it shouldn't start with comment. So this is key dot Pygame dot key dot get pressed. And I'll tell you what this statement does. This keeps track of all keys pressed by users. Okay, let's say by players. So this simple line keeps track of all keys that you are pressing on the keyboard. Now, to check for the left key, what do you need to do? You now come in and say if statement. Remember we learned about it. We'll say if keys Pygame dot, remember I said the name of the key is k underscore left. So I'm saying if users press this key, okay, if they press that key, what do we want to happen? We'll say move the object to the left by the element of velocity. So how do we move the object to the left? By the element of the velocity, we will say our object x is equal to our object x, because that's what we have in here, minus the velocity. Now, a lot of people will get confused as to why am I doing minus? Remember, again, if you go back to the screen quickly, where is it? Yeah, if you go back to the screen quickly, when we're talking about left movement, you want the object to go left. I told you as you move closer to the left, the value of x is reducing. That is the way it is. X is 0 all through here. It is increasing as you go towards the right. So if you are coming leftward, the value of x is increasing. If you are going towards the right, the value of x is increasing. So with that said, I am reducing the value of X, and then you will see what will happen when we run this game now. So we have something to play around with. You write that and you should be fine with it. So let's run our game. Our object is still looking at us. It doesn't know anything. But the moment I press the left arrow, you can see it is moving little by little. And if I hold it down, it will keep going little by little. It's going little by little because I set the velocity to 3. So if you want the movement to be more rapid, you can go up to where you define the velocity and you make it something like 5. If I change it to 5 there and I run my code again and I press left, you can see it's moving much faster than before. Maybe that's too slow for you. Some people will say, no, that movement, I don't like it. It's too slow. You can increase it to 10. And then when I press this, you can see it's now jumping. But when I press once, it moves. When I release the key, it stops moving. When I press once, it moves. When I release the key, it stops moving. So let me move all through and then see what happens when it gets to the edge. It is going in, oh, my object has disappeared and I cannot bring it back because we did not say stop when you get to the edge of the screen there. That's not a problem. It hit that edge, but it didn't know that it hit the edge and it just kept going to the left because I kept pressing the left key. So how do we know when it gets to the edge and it stops? You go into the if statement for the left key movement and make a slight adjustment. Okay, say, and our object X, while it is still greater than 0. So I'll put the comment here to check for the left key and the boundary limit. Okay, let's just say boundary edge and the edge. That sounds better. So when you put this extra statement here and object X greater than 0, I will explain all this. I can go back to my diagram and show you that quickly. Where is my diagram? Yeah, this is it here. Remember I said when this object moves and it assumes this state, this current state, the left-hand side of the object is now sitting exactly on the plane where the value of X is 0. So when the value overlaps with the edge, you need to be able to say there shouldn't be any movement again. So movement should only happen when the X value of your object, which is this side of it, the top left corner, when the point there is greater than 0, then movement is allowed because there is space to move into. But the moment that place is not 0, you should not allow movement to happen. So I have added that clause, and let's see what our program does now. Excuse me. So if I run this program now, our object is still sitting at the middle. I am pressing the left arrow, and it is moving one by one. Okay. Now I'm holding down my left arrow and nothing is happening. I will show you how you can control that straight away. So when I get to the edge, X is still greater than 0. Yeah. You can see that I'm pressing my key and it is not going further than that. That is what you want to happen. So at a later stage, we will tell you when that happens, the object should come back onto the screen. Now, that object is there now. If I press the right arrow, nothing is happening because we have not programmed right arrow movement. So we need to program that to be able to move that our object away from the edge of the screen. So how do we go about doing that? I'll put another part of the script and say to check for the right key. In fact, it's more like right arrow key, left arrow key, and the edge. Initially, I won't put the edge there. I'll just put it back later. So the structure is also if keys are Pygame dot k what is this movement to the right? Is k right. So this is the key. Okay. We'll just say if you press the key to that side, what should happen? We want the object to move, but this time around, it's going to be the reverse of what we have here. Make a copy of it, paste it here. You have to move the object to the right. Now, to move the object to the right, remember what I said about movement to the right. I said as you move on the right-hand side direction, the value of x is increasing, not reducing, it is increasing. And that is why in my code here, my x, I am adding something to it every time you press the right arrow key, and the value of x will keep increasing. Maybe I should do a quick refresher here on why do we have object x is equal to object x plus something or minus something? Because many people get confused when they see this kind of implementation. I will create a blank screen just to demonstrate the meaning of that in programming and say assignment x.py. And I'll come back to my code symbol. In school mathematics, if you write this, your math teacher will beat the hell out of you because this is a stupid equation in mathematics. But it is not a stupid equation in computer science. And it's just your own confusion that you are imposing on the screen. These two equations are different. And I have to explain that, and I'll go back to the code. In mathematics, if you say x is equal to x plus 1, we know that is not possible. If you print this one out and say print, P-R-I-N-T, print this, you will get a false result because x can never be equal to x plus 1. Okay, let me put a comment sign here. Let's say initially x is 1. If you run this code, assignment, you can see it says false is your result. X can never be equal to x plus 1 because that doesn't make any sense. This is common sense, and it's because you are dealing with equality sign. However, in programming, when you see this symbol up here, please be careful. It does not mean x is equal to x plus 1. This one here. Print this. Yeah. When you get to this point, it doesn't mean x is equal to x plus 1. What it means is x used to be 1. Okay. We are adding 1 to that original value of x. And whatever we get, we are storing it in x again, so that x is going to be 2, not 1 anymore. That is the meaning of this expression here. Okay, so what is it telling me? I can come back. Maybe it's a scope issue. I can come in here and say, I can use another symbol and say y is 1. And then I can come and say y is equal to y plus 1. Oh, sorry. Backspace. Yeah. This is possible in programming because this y is not containing the same value as this y. So let's say this y was 5. If you do this expression, the result is equal to y plus, okay, sorry, why am I typing result here? If I say y is now y plus 1, and I want to print the value of y, technically, when you do this, can someone tell me what the result will be? Try it. Ihsan, you know it. Just say it.
Y equals 6.
It will be 1 plus 5, which is going to be 6. Y was 5. Okay, you need to understand this. Y was 5, and I have now said that original y that had 5 in it, let me add 1 to it, and the result, assign it to y, and then show me what the current value of y is. Now, to make this easier for you, I will go back to my presentation. I will insert an empty box here because it's very important you master this concept. I'll insert an empty box here. This is not the best box for me, but I'll manage it. And I will come back to my presentation mode because I can write in that mode. Yes. So let me get my marker. So let's say you have your box here and it is called Y. And you have put in something there. It is 5. So in computer science or in programming, we'll say in the room with the number Y, room number Y, we have kept 5 there. So we are saying we have assigned figure 5 to go and live inside our room called Y. Okay? So when we go into Y, we will find 5 there. That's what this means. So anytime you see this symbol, it does not mean your typical mathematics of 4 is equal to 2 times 2. No, this is equal to. In programming, this is not equal to. Equal to is written with double equality sign. Okay, so you need to be very mindful of this. So if I want to increase the value of Y to say 8, there are 2 things I can do. I can say Y is now 8. What that means is it will just take 8 and put it in this room and 5 will disappear. So we now have 8 there. It's saying Y can only keep 1 value at a time. It cannot keep 2. It can only keep 1. 5 was there, and I want 8 to be in that room. So when I assign 8 to Y, it will overwrite 5 that was there. That's one method. Another method is to say, hang on a second. Let that room still keep 5. Okay, let that room still keep 5, but I'll say the original value of Y is 5. I need to add 3 to it because I know this Y contains 5. Remember? I want to add 3 to the original value, and the new value or your result is what should be kept in here. So it will add 3 to what was there and it will update it to 8. So if you are doing that, we write it as Y is equal to Y plus 1. I have used the word is equal to 2, but that's not. It means assign what is on the right to what is on the left. So the old value of y, add 3 to it, rather, it's 3. Add 3 to it, and the new value should be stored in that room that add y. And that is why the result is going to be 8 in this context. You need to be familiar with it. So it's like you are updating the content of your memory space. If you don't get that, you will run into issues a lot when programming is being done. So let me move away and I cut back to our screen for coding. So that solves this element. We can knock it off and go back to our movement. So we want to explain our movement on the left axis with that. So what I am doing here is there was a position for our x, and we want to reduce that position. This is what the expression will look like. If we want to increase our position, this is what the expression will look like when we press the K right button. So let's go up here and run our code again. We said we can go left, but if we press the right arrow key, it is now working because we can move to the right also. And let's keep checking what will happen when we get to the edge of the screen. It keeps moving. It keeps moving. And then when it gets to the edge of the screen, it goes out of view. Okay, I can bring it back because I can press my left arrow. Okay, so how do we let it know that, hey, you got to the edge, you better stop moving? We will need to adjust the condition of that code, which is going to be right here. We will say when the right key is pressed and what? The value of our object on the X.
So please, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
So if the square goes to the edge and moves in the edge, will the square come out from the other side?
Naturally, to keep going on that side. If you want it to come back, there is another way we would do that.
Alisa.
All right. So I have made an adjustment here to the code. And a lot of people will be like, hey, another equation. How would we know this? How do we know that we need to write this one there? I'll tell you the interpretation of this particular equation. We'll go back to your screen. Okay, we'll go back to your screen. It is this. I think I put in an empty shape. Okay, it disappeared. I can get another one to discuss this. Key to the right. Where is my right movement? Yeah, this one. I need an extra piece here. So let's say I get, yeah, I go for this. Right movement. So I'll say right movement extra. We'll delete this and we will go into presentation mode. Do I still have my button for writing? Yes. Please watch this, and it's also applicable to your left movement. If you place your screen this way, whether it's landscape or vertical, it really doesn't matter. And your object is like this. Your object is going in this direction. It's going in this direction. That movement, please watch this. This, let's say this is 400. The dimension here. Okay, let's say this is 100. 100 tall, 100 long. If you press the right arrow key, that object can only move when there is still space between this part and the edge. Okay, that is the only way movement can be done. It means there is still space to be moved into. So at any given point in time, you have to keep checking this space. What is the value of this space, this open space? Is there do you still have a value there? If you have value there, then you can move. You keep moving as you are pressing the right arrow key. And the same thing with this side. This is also another space for your left movement. Space management, very key. It's like you are driving on the road. If there is an object in front of you, you cannot run into it because the space is now saying, hey, you need to stop. So when your object is moving on the screen, either to the right or to the left, top or to the bottom side, you always need to be thinking, is there still space for me to move into? If the answer is yes, you keep moving. If the answer is no, then you stop moving, okay? So to track for this space, you must, okay, maybe I should ask you, how do you know when this object gets to the edge on the right or when it gets to the edge on the left? Can anybody tell me? Let me take my drink. Can anybody attempt to tell me when they will be able to figure out that this object has got to this edge here, or it is at this edge here? This knowledge is key. Of course, when we get to up and down movement, we will see how to know whether it is touching the upper boundary or the lower boundary. But let's talk about the horizontal movement first. How do you know whether there is a space between your object and the right boundary, or there's a space between your object and the left boundary? Let me give you an orijo for this. Your object has a width, width, okay, which is 100. Right or wrong? Right. Now, the screen itself has its own width, which in this case is 400. Correct? So when your object starts from here, from the beginning, let's say it is starting here, your object already occupies 100 pixel of the 400 allowed for it to, play around with. In the real sense, it's not 400, because if it is currently sitting on 100, courtesy of its width, it means the space that it has to move is what? Can someone tell me?
300. 300.
Correct. Extremely brilliant. It's 300 because the original dimension of the screen is 400 on the horizontal axis, and your spaceship or whichever object you place there is currently 100. So it can only cover 300. So when it is coming, that 300, as you are moving to the right, the 300 will be reducing. Right or wrong? Right. So the space it has will keep reducing as the object is moving to the right. So at some point, this object will be like this.
So I know the answer now.
Oh, excellent. So it's good we demonstrate graphically like this. And the same logic is applicable when you are moving in the reverse direction. Okay, so when you now go into the code and you see lines like, oh, we want to check the difference between the screen width and the object width. That is why I wrote that there. So it's not like Uncle just invented it from somewhere. It is the same logic you have in your mind that previous diagram showed that I have implemented. So when you run this code, I go to the right, my object goes, and when it gets to the edge, it stops because I've told it stop when you move up to a particular distance, and it cannot move again. Now, having said that, let's quickly go into how do you move the object up or down? We can quickly come in and say to check for the up arrow key and then the edge and the edge. So we need to always do that. So how do we get the edge? Oh, we are done with this screen. I don't need it again. So let me escape. Yeah, keep all the text. We don't need it. So let's go back to our coding screen. Yeah, so to do that, we need to first check which key has been pressed. So it will be if keys Pygame, okay, dot K, we are going up. So this is the key that you need. Let's press just that key alone, and then we will say undo upward movement. And we said it, when you do upward movement, you are reducing the Y value. If you go on the lower side, you are increasing the Y value. So to do this, I'll just say undo upward movement. And my upward movement here would be my object as a Y. And it will be object Y.
Please, I removed it.
I should remove what? I should remove the velocity. Yeah, this is what it should. The spelling here is saying it's incorrect. Yeah, that's what you said. Thanks. So this will move my object up the screen. Let's test this. If I press the up arrow key, my object is now responding to that. And this is getting more exciting, but it will keep going because I didn't ask it to stop. So the only way for me to ask it to stop is to add one more condition to this part and say that should happen when my object Y, sorry. Here's it, up arrow, it should be here. And object Y, as long as my object Y is greater than 0, which is on the main side of the screen, you should move, otherwise you cannot move beyond the edge. So if you run this again, it goes up, and when it gets to the edge there, it stops. I'm pressing the up arrow and it can't move beyond that. Let's quickly program the last direction, which is to check for the down arrow key and the edge. So can someone tell me what to do here? I'm not going to be the one to tell you. So you tell me. I've done 3. How do I know the down arrow key programming? If
So is it like the code? Okay.
yeah, it's like the one before. If yeah, go ahead with your question.
So now that you have programmed it to go up, can you still tell it to move to the right and the left?
Yes.
Let me ask you.
It is still going to be able to move to the right and the left, depending on which key you press. So someone should tell me how to program it to come down, and you will see it when I move it up and down on my key.
Okay. So if
yes,
if keys Pygame
okay,
dot K down.
Okay, dot K down. Okay.
And object.
Good. In fact, someone is giving me all the answers. And now you struggle with this. Let me help you with it. So it would be object Y.
Okay.
Is less than the screen height
Okay.
minus object height. Okay, so what do I put in the upper part? In the lower part, we'll say increase y dimension.
Y dimension.
So what do I write there?
Object y
Object y is equal to
Equals to
object
object
y minus
plus what's your problem?
It will
Plus
be
velocity.
all right. Thank you very much. So when I do that, see, I can go up now. I can come down. To answer your question, I can go right. I can go left. And if I feel that speed is not much, I can go up here and say, you know what? Increase the speed. Where is it? 10, it's not much. Let's go to 20. And then we will do this. Up, up, right. This is left, left, down, down, right, right. You can go into any boundary. There is no space. You can change the color to make it look more distinct when it gets here so it doesn't disappear. So maybe we'll go back and make it your famous purple. Okay, you run it here. Yeah, so it cannot go unnoticed. You can go up, you can go right, you can go right, left, up, down, left. It depends on what you want. Your program will keep moving. So this is one object that you are moving around on the screen. The same way you have this object being moved around on the screen, you can have multiple objects on the screen that can also move. So next week, by God's special grace, you will see how we can place some other objects on the screen to move around for us. And then see when they come in contact with one another, because that will be very awesome for you to know. How do they come in touch with one another? Let me add one last thing here. I created a timer, like a clock for you. I want to see the impact of that on my code. So you can see the movement is smoother. I can move. I can do whatever I like here. I'll do something later next week that will increase the speed of this movement, and it will look like a train is moving or a snake is moving towards.
So sorry, how did you increase the speed?
You go to your velocity, go to the velocity variable up here. I'm going there. Yeah, I changed it to 20 pixel. In your own case, you can make yours 40 pixel. If you press this button once, it jumps 40. So you can see it's jumping. Up is the same thing. Right, it's the same. Down is the same. Left, top. So I can drop another guy there, and then you are trying to avoid the collision by changing whichever direction you are moving. But something will chase you next week, and you have to avoid being hit by that thing. Okay, prepare your mind for an amazing session next week. So tonight, as a quick recap, we've learned how to bring out a plain background again, how to place our object at our desired position, and we went through further elements in our mastery of the screen to guide our ability to move the object in 4 directions. We can move object to the left, to the right, to the top, to the bottom. And we also learned how to know when the object hits the edge so that it doesn't disappear from the screen. And of course, we learned the speed at which you can move your object based on the pixel dimension of your screen. Next week, by God's special grace, we will keep building on this to the point where we will place 2 more objects. One more object on the screen. Or Monday, the first thing I'll do is I'll change this square to my incredible arc. So it is incredible arc that you'll be moving up and down, and not a square. and that will make more sense to you. And then I can create another square that will now be the enemy to Incredible Hulk. So when it
Please do Spider-Man.
Don't worry. We'll agree on what to use when we get there on Monday. So when something is chasing Incredible Hulk has to jump over it to avoid being hit by that object, which is going to be, maybe I'll look for, hold on a second. I think I have something very weird here, like a stone from the outer world. Hold on. Game assets, images, gone. Let's see. Particles. I don't want particles. See, image. No, not this. That's background. This is background. This is my orc. I'll get something that we can use. Don't worry. Next week is just around the corner. May God make it very easy for us. Thanks a lot for being part of today's session, and thanks a lot for being part of the journey so far. I yield the floor back to our coordinator to do a wrap-up. Assalamu alaikum. May the peace and blessing of God be with you. Our coordinator. Yeah, I'm going to post the video tonight for those who want to use it. Why is my screen showing screen bigger than the screen of laptop when I put 1200 by 800? So it means that dimension is wider than your screen in your case. So Abdurrahman, what you then do is to reduce from 1200 to try 600 by 400. And then you can start from there. Don't start from a very wide screen. I have a very big screen, so I can play around with some big numbers. Yeah. For most laptops, you may not be able to get that sort of dimension. All right. Coordinator, are you there, sir? Yeah, let me reach out to him on WhatsApp. Or Miriam, help us tell Daddy that we're done.
Okay.
All right.
So I'm still having challenges installing my Pygame.
You that I say you should, okay, well, you should meet me before class today. All right. So what you need to do is share your screen with me now. Let me see it. At least we're in class. Others can learn from your experience. Nobody should be having challenge with any installation at this time.
I said I wanted to show you what I created last night.
You also show us. Okay, show us.
After
Show us now. Show us now. We want to see it. Let me give you my screen. Bang, bang. This is Mrs. Game Academy. The screen width is 380, the height is 500. So that's like the shape of a phone. Okay. Yeah, run it. Let's see. Yes, click on that. Click on it. Don't worry. We'll see it. Yeah, you have not clicked it. When you click it, we will see it.
So I've clicked on it, but I don't know why it's doing
Okay, don't
it.
worry. One other way you can do it is right click on where you see coding.py, the name on the tab at the top. Yes, right click and you will see run that file. When you right click, don't close it. Right click.
This laptop is disgraceful. It's not disgraceful. It's not disgraceful. Oh, so I think it's slow. This laptop.
Hey, we'll wait for it.
Keep quiet, Joe.
Okay, so right click on it.
Yeah.
And
Wait,
maybe, it's now, I think it's responding to the initial click
yeah.
because the screen on the lower side is now blank. So we'll wait for it.
It's not connected, please. So our video is not on.
So the memory appears to be on the low side. That's why it's responding slowly.
Let me look. Oh God, please. This laptop is too fast.
So scroll down on the codes side. Okay, it's coming up. Yeah.
So now, so it's showing me not responding. No.
I know it's coming up. You can't do anything yet.
Okay.
We'll wait for it. We would love to see this game.
So it's just the basic stuff I did, like the color and all of
Yeah,
that.
yeah, it's good to show us. At least we'll see your understanding of the concept. Don't worry. It's saying not responding. Maybe when it comes on, you can share your screen again.
Okay, so
All right. So is our coordinator back now?
Oh.
Yeah. While we're waiting for him, Abdullah, let me see your screen.
Hasn't answered.
All right, thanks a lot, Miriam. Yeah, Abdullah, let me see your screen. If I can't see your screen tonight, then we will see it by the weekend. We must fix your issue by the weekend. And then you also should be able to design something. So now that you all know how to move objects around the screen, you should start thinking, what can I move around before next week? Yeah. What can I move around before next week? You need to move something around on your screen. What would that thing be? I don't know. You have to tell me. So where is our coordinator? Is it back? So while we're waiting for him, let me play around with some things. Just give me a moment. I'll come around here and say, I'll come around here and say, Incredible Orc, where are you?
So it's working.
Aha, okay, good. So it's working. So let's see your screen now.
Shut up.
Oh yeah, bring it up. Let us see it. Bang, 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 bang. Yeah, rerun it. Yes, stop and rerun. Then leave it.
So is when I'm about to press X that it will now show me the color.
Oh,
Did you see it?
okay, I saw it. Okay, so what you do is this. So this is your funny color. Scroll down in your code. I will help you show where you need to update that. So scroll down in your code. Hold it there. Hold it there. Yeah. While you are here, under the is game running force, before you write the update command.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Before you write the update command, you need to do something there. Okay. What you need to write is to say you want your game to have the color shown. If you have seen what we did in our own case. Hmm?
Sam coming. Ah, it's slow again.
Yeah, it's normal for it to be slow.
Who is joining my screen?
You better shut up.
Who said that?
Mr. Barry, did you physically started us for this one? Who insulted you? Are they talking to you?
I don't know.
Yeah. You know this your mouth. Let me see you. Shh. Do you want this?
You are making noise.
You know maybe somebody's mom is there. You don't stop nonsense.
Okay, sir.
All right.
I think he's.
We will check this. Don't worry. So I'm looking at your screen. And I want to see where the error for your own code is coming from. You've set the color that you want to see, and that is cool. Yeah. So that color is up there. What you need to do is to scroll down in your situation. Okay, when you are there. Okay, so let's hold it there. Yeah, at the top, this is your funny color. Then where is that color being set as the background color? So scroll down to line 23. Yes, hold it. So I can see screen.fill is your funny color. That is correct. Yeah, then you go into your loop, scroll down. While is game running? Yes. Aha, I've seen it. Scroll down. I've seen where the error is. Scroll down. Hold it there. Yeah, hold it, hold it. Now you see that after you said line 28, while is game running, you put your comment at the right spot. Check event. No, don't press anything. So the line after check event for event in pygame.event.get, it should be under that special symbol. So click on the F, the space before F.
So wait, which one?
Line 30.
Okay.
The space before F, that's the beginning of that line. Yeah, click there. Press tab. In fact, it is already telling you it can help you. Okay, so press delete, because F should come directly where that cursor is blinking. No. Yeah, you are making the mistake now. Okay, right click over it. Just place your mouse over that line. It will show you something. Hold it. Place your mouse over the, reformat the file. Click on reformat the file. Correct. So this is the code that you should have. So those lines are there to let you know where you should start typing. So if you run this code now, you will see your nice color there. So we'll wait for it.
Hey, that I don't know if it is the laptop that is doing it too. It won't show it.
It should show you that color before you terminate the code. It should show you. Okay, hold on. Let me check the event you even wrote in this part also. So close the screen because this is the default color that you are seeing. Okay, so for event in pygame.event.get, check if it is this. Yes. Otherwise, you have your display. Yeah. So the next line, update the screen. Yes, that's beginning of that line. Click on before the pound sign. Yeah, before. Press tab. Do the same thing for the next line. And that is all you need to get your shape. So that part should be inside this while loop, not outside of it. It was outside of it. So if you run this now, your color will come out. And
yay, thank you.
So you can see now that you are there. You cannot change your color, you can change the background, and then you can do whatever you want on the screen now. You wrote the correct line, but you placed the commands at wrong spot. So you can just type pink into where you had screen.fill. That should be like your line 28. Yeah, 24. Screen.fill. Line 24. Yeah. So you can just change the color straight from there, but it will now be in quotes. Yeah, remove FU. And no, it's still .fill. Screen.fill. FILL. Then you can open the bracket, correct? Then open the quote. Yes, you can put any color in English now. Yes, correct. So if you run this, you should be fine. Yeah, stop and rerun. And it makes it now a super programmer. So you can see your game is coming out little. All right, that's my story. Is our back?
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. All right, I can't see him, but that notwithstanding, we've had an amazing evening together. I wish you a very beautiful weekend. Be good boys and girls to your parents. I see you on Monday by God's special grace. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.